When I was in 8th grade, I went to my grandmother's house and she had satellite. And I happened to cross the Comedy Channel at that time. And there was this crazy show that was a bad movie, and this guy and two little robots in a silhouette making fun of it. And ever since then, I fell in love with Mystery Science Theater, and I always had the dream of doing Mystery Science Theater. So this is just a test run, something I just sat down and jotted out in about 40, 50 minutes or so. Pretty much improv for the most part, as I found this old public domain reproduction instructional video here that's pretty funny. So this is just a test run. I just wanted to kind of see how it went, see if you guys think it's funny, and if it is, I'll try to do more of these. I'll try to do better. But so here's just a test run of me pretending to be Joel Hodgson or Mike on Mystery Science Theater. If you're watching this, you'll ensure that you never reproduce. This video got its swerve on before trying to reproduce.
This is John Burke, class of 1940. This is Mary Burke, class of 1940.
Neither have class.
This is John Burke, Jr., class of 1966.
And founder of the Church of
according
Satan.
to the fond hopes of his parents. Someday, you may be in John Burke's shoes.
But only if you wear a women's size 4.
Or in Mary Burke's high-heeled slippers.
But only if you're John Burke.
What are you going to do, or say, when something like this takes place in your own household?
Or in Delta Burke's orthopedic slippers.
Mary, I forgot to tell you, Jim wasn't at the office today. He took Helen to the hospital.
Sewing with hair is difficult.
I guess they're both pretty excited. Do you think I should telephone the hospital?
Excited from wearing slippers?
As soon as the baby is born.
I don't know which of them will be satisfied. I know Helen has a heart set on a girl.
Do you think she'll like this pussy hat I'm crocheting?
I can't wait. I'm going to telephone the hospital now.
A boy?
Dad, how can Aunt Helen and Uncle Jim have a baby if they don't know what they want?
They have a non-binary Z.
They'll love their little baby, whether it's a boy or a girl.
Dad,
Yes?
where do babies come from anyhow?
Babies come from the stork, the same one that brings the
But why
Vlasic
do
pickles.
mothers bring them?
Johnny, by the grace of heaven, mothers are the only ones who know how to bring babies into the world.
Except for Arnold Schwarzenegger in Junior.
Babies into the world. But sooner than you may think now, your child will be old enough for a full explanation.
Where did that idea
So
come
let's
from?
brush up on it, you and I, and together review the human reproductive system.
By actually trying it.
Will help you review the fundamentals.
Ah! Where is Sir
The
Mix-a-Lot?
female sex organs, as seen from outside, consist of several folds of skin.
This
or
is Elizabeth Short.
called the labia, or lips. These labia cover the urethra.
A corpse, however, cannot reproduce.
And the entrance to the vagina. Cutting through this model, these organs can be seen as they actually appear in vertical section through the midline.
Here, a plate of T-bone steak illustrates.
The vagina has a moist lining called the mucous membrane.
Notice the shape of the head of the xenomorph that's forming.
Which can be easily stretched. A membrane partly covers the entrance to the vagina. This is the hymen, or maidenhead.
Hyman Roth? Hyman Rothstein? This is disgusting.
It may be accidentally broken during childhood.
Or through being a total skank.
Shown here in a front view.
Here, H.R. Geiger gives his impression of a mommy's tummy.
About half the size of a fist. Below it is the vagina.
The place that you're never going to go.
At the top are two tubes, the fallopian tubes, and the two ovaries.
Black children are given birth from the Ethiopian tubes.
In a section through these organs, we can see the cervix. This is the narrow neck of the uterus, and it extends into the vagina. The walls of the uterus are very thick, but may be stretched so that the uterus can enlarge to many times its original size.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down these walls.
One end of the fallopian tube is open, so that eggs, or ova, from the adjacent ovary may easily enter and be carried to the uterus.
Sometimes they're scrambled or sunny side up.
The ovary is a gland in which eggs are constantly being formed.
We call these the breakfast tubes.
Each salmon-shaped ovary is about 1.5 inches in length. Besides producing eggs, these glands secrete fluids into the blood, which are responsible for the development of female characteristics in
Such
other
as
parts of
boobies
the body,
and booties.
such as breasts, hair, and skin. But from puberty on, the primary function of the ovaries is the production of eggs. In a closer view, we
Why?
can watch the development of an egg.
Here on the dark side of the moon.
Remember that while this one is growing,
The human form grows like a zit.
but usually only one egg reaches maturity every 28 days.
The rest are bratty bastards.
After reaching full development,
They pass into the
through
skillet.
ovarian wall and passes into the fallopian tube.
Why, here's one little rat bastard now
This
escaping
breaking
captivity.
through of the egg is called ovulation. The fully developed egg is only 1/200th of an inch in diameter.
He is, however, capable of playing Pong.
When mature, each egg is capable, if fertilized, of developing into a baby. Moreover, each egg carries all of the hereditary characteristics of the mother.
Including her bitch-ass attitude.
Since the function of the uterus is primarily that of receiving the fertilized egg and nourishing the developing child, the walls undergo a regular cycle of preparation for this job.
Here, Pink Floyd erects another brick in the wall.
Soft and spongy and engorged with blood and fluids.
Sponge Bobby, we might say.
This progresses during the final stages of the development of the egg, its extrusion from the ovary, and its passage through the tube. If fertilization of the egg does not occur, the uterine wall lining breaks down and is discharged from the body as the menstrual flow.
But only after the head of a steer
If we
sneezes
call
out
the
its
onset
mucus.
of menstruation the first day of the menstrual cycle, we can watch the various elements as they recur during each 28-day period.
Human female emotions make
After
it
the
seem as if the
menstrual flow
period
stops,
is every day.
about the fourth day, the uterine lining begins to build up again.
In marriage, this time ticker is the span of the actual time between being laid.
In the normal cycle, ovulation occurs about the 14th day, and an egg is extruded into the fallopian tube. It starts its slow passage toward the uterus, but if not fertilized, it dissolves away or disappears in the tube.
Falling into non-being often occurs before breakfast.
After the 28th day, menstruation occurs again.
And you might get
The
laid.
cycle is repeated. This, then, is the structure and function of the female reproductive organ.
And the span of marital coitus.
The ovaries, which every 28 days discharge mature eggs into the fallopian tubes.
Immature eggs are sent to
The
juvie.
uterus, which during the same period gets ready to receive the egg in case it is fertilized by contact with the male sperm.
Merely touching these
If
tubes and
fertilization
walls
of the
can
egg
cause
does not
impregnation.
occur, the egg itself dissolves or disappears, and the uterine wall linings, now deprived of their special function to nourish the developing child, break down and are discharged as the menstrual flow.
These sad non-being egg pong people fall away into
Although
non-existence.
The average menstrual cycle usually occurs every 28 days. In many cases, it may be somewhat longer or shorter.
However, some bitches get it daily.
Depends on the proper functioning of many glands. Its normal time schedule may be easily upset by nervous strain, emotion, or illness. The process is regularly repeated, however, every 28 days.
Or every day, and good God, are you in for it?
The egg occurs and pregnancy begins. These are the facts of the female reproductive system.
These facts, however, are all subjective and only based on genders that you choose to identify
You
as.
can pass on correct knowledge to your child when he is old enough to understand.
Son, I was tripping and I saw steers sneezing out
Do
fluid.
babies have fathers?
Well, there wouldn't be any babies without fathers.
But why?
In marriage, son, eggs are laid and you are not.
One day you'll have to tell him why babies do have fathers. And that brings us to the next chapter in our review of the story of reproduction.
The conspiracy of the patriarchy.
Function of the male reproductive organs.
Oh yeah, baby, can't wait.
The external male reproductive organ, as shown in this drawing,
Male so-called.
consists of the penis and the scrotum. The scrotum contains the testicles. In a section view, we can see that the penis and testicles are connected by a long tube.
The medical term is the dragon tube.
It extends from the penis back past the prostate gland and seminal vesicles,
Which are tiny
and
lungs.
the tube leading from the testicles. In this same diagram, we can see also the bladder, which empties into the urethral canal.
It's a happy little balloon.
The testicles in men correspond to the ovaries in women, because they both are glands in which the reproductive elements are formed.
Here, a xenomorph
If we
impregnates
examine
the male
section of the
testicle.
We find that it is composed of
Of
small
cauliflower.
compartments filled with two kinds of cells. One kind produces an internal secretion which is carried in the blood and results in the development of male characteristics.
Are you remembering all of this,
Skin,
4-year-old boy?
beard, voice, and body structure. The second, or lining cells, are constantly being changed into spermatozoa. Spermatozoa are the male sex cells. These spermatozoa, or sperm cells,
Participate in a
are
Soros-backed
single
anti-Trump
cells,
rally.
which are propelled by the lashing motion of their long tails. Like the ovum or egg of the female, each sperm cell contains all the hereditary characteristics which are passed from the father to the child. Spermatozoa are constantly being formed in the testicles.
When the cauliflower and broccoli are full, the wad is shot.
Here. If not emptied during sexual intercourse, they are periodically emptied during sleep in nocturnal emissions or wet dreams. Wet dreams are a perfectly normal body function.
And a hell of a lot of
way
fun.
Getting rid of stored up sperm. Therefore, the common belief that intercourse or masturbation are necessary to relieve the pressure of stored up sperm is absolutely not true.
No touching!
Millions of spermatozoa are stored, ready for ejaculation.
Millions of others are imprisoned and denied the freedom they desperately seek.
This is caused by the spongy tissues of the penis becoming engorged with blood. The sperm passes up through the ducts where fluids from the glands are added to form the semen.
Only the successful solving of this labyrinth ensures smart
Is
children.
deposited into the female vagina.